Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here, another new format, another chance to wreck the meta while spending a third of what your opponent did on their deck. Yu-Gi-Oh, much like other popular trading card games, can definitely be expensive, but it doesn't have to be for a savvy duelist, which is exactly why I make this series. $100 to build an entire main and extra? Yeah, it's definitely tough, but it's absolutely possible. And because of that limitation, we won't be taking into consideration things such as Solemn Strike, Card of Demise, or Pot of Desires. Those cards are absolutely fantastic, but they're not necessary to run any of the decks we'll be covering in this video. Lastly, we won't be taking into consideration any decks or archetypes from future sets, as we generally can't predict prices from future sets unless we assume that the cards will be low rarity. My name is MegaCapitalG, and without further ado, welcome to the top 10 budget decks for the August 29th, 2016 format, the Yu-Gi-Oh hierarchy. Number 10, Cardians. Okay, truth be told, I felt obligated to include that in. Cardians are interesting because they can spam the field fairly easily, but they generally consolidate their monsters into a couple of pretty decent synchros. Yugioh is especially good, and it offers the deck a little bit of lockdown as well. It has a built-in Soul Drain and Royal Prison combined into one card, which can completely be a blowout against a deck like Blue Eyes or PK Fire. No Cheaters Allowed is also shockingly overlooked by most of the community. It's not just anti-pendulum, but it completely destroys Burning Abyss and Phantom Knights. Number 9, Madoche. I gotta admit, I was very impressed by what I saw at Worlds. Madoche going toe-to-toe with Blue Eyes and not only holding its own, but actually winning. I've said for years that Tiramisu was above power creep, and with Chocolate a la mode, the deck has only gotten stronger. Brilliant Fusion also staying at 3 greatly benefits Madoche, as it's one of the decks in the game that most takes advantage of the double summon given by Seraphonite. Madoche didn't get better by anything recent, but it just was a reminder that they still rock. Number 8, Prediction Princess Shadow. In my opinion, the definitive way to use Shadows to their maximum potential right now, even more so than Trains. In Prediction Princess, not only can you summon the dolls straight from the deck using Cornelma, but you can actually trigger their effects when used for ritual summons, and they can be summoned straight back from the graveyard using TAROTRE. Speaking of which, the soft lock and control that she gives when combined with Pot of Taboos is legendary, and honestly, it's enough to warrant trying out the deck to begin with. I wish the deck offered some type of protection for your monsters like Machine Angel Ritual does, but hey, we can't have everything. Number 7, Gem Knights. Okay, go ahead, tell me I'm biased. It's no secret that Gem Knights are basically my favorite archetype in the game, and despite their defensive woes, the deck offensively can be, dare I say, brilliant? Okay, that terrible joke was from Asami. Anyways, as stated, Gem Knights, if played well, can put tons of damage on the board early and often. I'm talking Trinity Force style, and because of that, you really don't have to worry about anything in the game past turn 3. Word to the wise though, if you're gonna play Gem Knights, please stay away from Floodgates. This deck is susceptible and loses to just about all of them. Number 6, TRIAMID. Don't get me wrong here, TRIAMID, the archetype, isn't the greatest on the block, but it gets so much from its supporting cast, and that supporting cast is basically Earth Rock support, which, spoiler alert, there are a ton of good cards in the game right now for. Even better, most of those cards are actually stun cards. Things like Fossil Dyna and Quackamiru's, they can bring meta decks to a screeching halt and completely freeze their options. I'd also like to mention just how much TRIAMID SPHINX can be a monster in the mid to late game. This card can easily get over 4,000 attack. Number 5, DESKBOT. Another fairly forgotten about archetype. DESKBOT's got a slight boost from DESKBOT 9 and Shining Victories. What I really like about DESKBOTs is they're basically a better version of Gem Knights, extremely good offensively. They can pendulum to unload a lot of their monsters in their hand at once, so that's definitely a benefit. And they just have a lot of ways of doing damage step tricks, so you never really feel like their weaker monsters aren't a threat. Much like DDD, they're also a pendulum archetype that aren't actually reliant on the pendulum summon, so that's definitely something to look out for. Number 4, EVILSWARM. EVILSWARM makes this list solely because it can consistently put OPHION on the board turn 1, and OPHION is a hard counter to the Ritual, Synchro, and Fusion Summon mechanics, and a lot of decks are going to want to be using those this format. Hell, DDD and ABC sometimes use 2 of those in one turn. You also have a fantastic Blue Eyes match as OPHION basically just stops their entire deck from working, and OPHION cannot be outed by Kaijus, which is really important because those see a lot of side deck play. Basically, in a nutshell, what I'm saying is OPHION is still the shit, and it's just going to be super great this format. Number 3, Raid Raptors. To my surprise, no one has really noticed just how stupid the Last Tricks and the Ultimate Falcon then rank up into 7 cents combo is. You basically give up your normal summon and damage for a turn for a 4,000 attack monster with built-in protection. It legitimately gives Raid Raptors what they have been severely lacking, and that is offense, and it still leaves them with the option to main deck things like Gozen Match. And as much as this will probably go against the grain, to further solve the offensive problems that Raid Raptors have, I think it might finally be time to start playing some rank up magic spells. Number 2, Pure Burning Abyss. I so wanted to put red resonators in this spot, but after looking at various builds, I concluded there just was no effective way to build the deck for $100, considering Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon and Starlight took up $60 out of our budget, so pretty much canned that idea. So we swapped out with the seemingly immortal Burning Abyss. Yeah, we all know that a couple of cards like Lady B and Seer got hit, but as long as you can make double Dante Fields and fall back on the Fire Lake plus Traveler loop, I don't think that you're really in that much danger of the deck being, irrelevant. I'd also like to point out that Breaksword is not mandatory, as that would pretty much eliminate half of our budget on one card. Burning Abyss have an excellent grind game. It's been shown that it can easily incorporate Floodgates right into the main deck, things like Anti-Spell Fragrance and Skill Drain. It's an overall solid deck. Honorable mentions include Blackwings, Sylvans, Great Kaijus, and Serteller Knights. Finally, to our very unexpected number 1, LUNALIGHT. Before you immediately point out the obvious that Crimson Fox isn't in the TCG, know that the deck can still definitely function without her, and secondly, it can OTK the crap out of you. She helps a lot, don't get me wrong, but LUNALIGHT still have all the pieces that they need. A Wolfbark, a Poly Searcher, multiple Monster Reborns, a Pendulum Monster with a built-in Miracle Fusion. LUNALIGHT, in my opinion, have the best collective arsenal for a super aggressive deck that generally wants to kill the opponent by turn 2 and pretty much ignore anything after that. I also think with MIDI archetypes and players migrating away from Battle Traps, which coincidentally happens to be LUNALIGHT's Kryptonite, it only makes LUNALIGHT's that much better, and it definitely raises their potential. So I gotta put them at that number 1 because I think that they have a lot of good things to show the TCG. So let me know what you guys think. Did I get anything wrong on this list? What did I leave out? What's your favorite budget deck? Leave that in the comment section below. Thumbs up the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribing makes life happy.